TLB.com.
One question. They all want to know. They all want to know what's causing all this. You know what it is?
Brian Davis. TLB Radio.
So what's the big deal? 5 or 6 people get killed, and you all freak out and put it on us, and we're just reflecting you back at yourself.
It's the Tate LaBianca. Radio.com.
Broadcasting from the Star City of the South in Roanoke, Virginia, you are listening live to the Tate LaBianca radio program on TLBradio.com. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Davis, and the double shots are flowing along with the big Grande Black as we are back, as we continue to bring you the radio program which pursues the interest, the oddities, and the truth of the Tate LaBianca murders. And tonight, we are back with a bang, as coming up, our guest will be the director of the much-anticipated TLB documentary, Charles Manson, The Final Words. Buddy Day will be joining us here tonight as we preview tonight's nationwide airing of the documentary, Charles Manson, The Final Words, coming up tonight, 9 o'clock on the Reels channel. That's 9 o'clock Eastern Time on the Reels channel. Be sure you follow that or check that out immediately following our program here tonight on TLB Radio. So stay tuned. Buddy Day will be joining me in just a few minutes here on TLBradio.com. But first, there are a couple of announcements I need to make as we are back for the first time in an official capacity. Now, we've been broadcasting shows for the last year or so, kind of impromptu, where officially I've kind of been on that summer break for like 2 years now. So we've gotten away from the Sunday nights at 8 p.m. We are back on Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the good news. And maybe this is good news for some of you, maybe bad news for others, but 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Sunday nights. However, I do need to make this announcement. You know, CNN quoted me a few years ago. Unlike most murder cases, these murders are not a whodunit, because we know who done it. These murders are a why done it. Why did these murders happen? Because I don't believe it was the official narrative of Helter Skelter. So that's what we've been on for all this time. Why did these murders happen? And after 13 years of exploring and researching the Tate LaBianca murders and Charles Manson, 6 years of it, which have been a radio program here, I feel I now know why done it. I feel I can answer that question. Why done it? And with the opportunity of being in tonight's documentary, Charles Manson, The Final Words, I'll get that opportunity to explain why done it. I'll get the opportunity to help tell why these murders happened tonight. And with the documentary, the 6 years of the radio program, the 13 years of day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out of exploring and researching these murders, I feel my work is done in the TLB community. With that being said, tonight is the start of the end of the Tate LaBianca radio program. Tonight is the start of the final ride of TLB Radio. On January the 7th, 2018, we will broadcast our our last live Tate LaBianca radio program here on TLBradio.com. January 7th will be our final program. It's been coming for a long time. It's been coming for a long time, and I think with the passing of Charles Manson and this documentary coming out, I think it's the right time for me to move on. So January the 7th will be the final ride of this long, strange trip of the TLB murders. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the support that you've given through the years. Some of you from the beginning, some of you caught on a little bit later, some of you caught on, left, came back. I just say thank you. And from now until January 7th, after tonight's documentary airs, next week, the week after that, I'm going to do the best I can to finish up this program strong. And I'm going to be laying out in detail why I think these murders happened. And any other detail that I may have forgotten over the last 6 years, I'm going to throw out as well. It'll all be wrapped up in the next few weeks by January 7th. So we're not finished yet. We're back here tonight to finish up strong. The final ride coming up January 7th, TLB Radio, TLBradio.com. Elsewhere, on a sad note, we learned today, a little while ago, from Deborah Tate that former Manson girl Barbara Hoyt has passed away. According to Deborah Tate, Barbara Hoyt passed away at 2:45 this morning. She was, over the years anyway, she was a mainstay at the parole hearings for the murderers of the victims of these murders. And she, as Deborah Tate laid out, she was a target herself back during the trial when they took her to Hawaii and Ruth Ann Morehouse gave her a dose of LSD that evidently freaked her out enough to obstruct the trial a little bit in the witness. Well, they tried to. I don't think it got done, but that was the plan. And she came back from that. She tried to leave the family a couple of times, I believe, up there at Barker's, as Deborah laid out. So it's been a wild ride for everybody, I guess. And you just got to wonder, these girls, what they think like now as they've gotten older and what their lives have been like. Barbara Hoyt has spent most of her later years, I guess, trying, as I said, to keep the murderers in, along with Deborah Tate. Diane Lake's got a book out. She's out now retelling these stories. I mean, this is going to live with these people and a lot of people forever. And it did with Barbara Hoyt. Our condolences, as once again, Barbara Hoyt has passed away. All right. Welcome in. A few ways to get in touch with us here tonight. You can call 540-999-8710 any time of the day or night. Leave a message, a voicemail, or a question if you have a question or comment, and I'll check the message or answer the phone live. Sometimes we do. You can reach us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/TLBradio. And I just want to say thank you to all of the people that have stayed with me on that Facebook page. In fact, it's up to around 800 or 900 people now. Unbelievable. So thank you very much for those of you that have liked us over there. Facebook.com/TLBradio. Also, over on Twitter, at TLB Radio. Thank you for the followers over there. I would have never guessed. Email, TLBradio@TLBradio.com. And, of course, we haven't been there in a long time, but let's go there now. It's our live discussion room at TLBradio.com at the bottom of the page, but enter at your own risk. Yes, hello, TLB'ers. Oh, my God, watch out. Oh, you gotta dip and dive when you get in here. Yes, hello there. Hello. Nice to see you guys. Yes, thanks for coming out. All right. Oh, yes, our TLB Radio live discussion room, livelier than ever at TLBradio.com. Again, at the bottom of the page, you can chat anonymously as the program goes along or sign up and sign in. It's up to you. But again, as we always say, enter at your own risk. Leslie Van Houten right now waiting for the parole board to cross their T's and dot their I's. Then her parole recommendation will go to the governor. He will have 30 days to decide if Leslie Van Houten would be released or not. Last time he said no. She was denied. Was that like a year ago? So she's currently awaiting right now. She's in the middle of the 120-day review period from the parole board. That's how that works. I think Pat Krenwinkel comes up in, what is this? Sometime 2018 here. I want to say January. It may have changed. But, and I believe Bruce Davis has got another one coming up soon. Okay, anyway, so that's the latest in the TLB community that we have found. All right, so I can't wait, though. Tonight we've got a great guest coming up. If you're just joining us, the documentary Charles Manson, The Final Words, which has won awards now in the film festivals. The Atlanta Film Festival, it won best drama, best true, I forget now. But it won like a top award. Trust me. It also won an award out in Salt Lake City at the film festival. It's been anticipated for months now. And tonight it airs, 9 o'clock on the Reels channel. And I'm very, very happy to have on the director, Buddy Day. Will be joining me here in just a few minutes, live. How cool is that, to have the director on the night that it airs, like minutes almost before it airs? Very happy and thankful for Buddy Day to come on and do that for us here. Just lots going on here, believe it or not, for a case that's almost 50 years old. Seems like it always is. Looking over my notes here, I believe that should cover everything that I wanted to get into tonight. Just again, a reminder, stay with us. We've got Buddy Day coming up, the documentary coming up following the show here tonight at 9 o'clock on the Reels channel. So hopefully you people have that set up and ready to go. We'll be catching up with Buddy here momentarily. You know, I'm not going to speak too much on this nonsense that's going on with Charles Manson's remains. I think it's pretty evident. I mean, if you're not thinking what a mockery they're making of this, the ones involved, then something's wrong with you. And I know a lot of people look at Charles Manson as the evil incarnate, but he's still a human being, and in death, I don't know that it's good energy. I don't know if it's good karma to be treating the dead the way that these people are, and I don't care who they are. I've quit clicking on the clickbait for the Daily UK. I've quit reading The Sun. I've quit reading basically most of TMZ. I'm sick of seeing these creeps. And it's just a sad, sad thing. If you're a Charles Manson supporter, you have got to be outraged even. I can't imagine you're actually supporting what these creeps are doing with the remains of Mr. Manson. You know, if Jason Freeman is the grandson, it would seem that he would stand to have claim. The thing that Matthew Roberts is doing is disgusting. And as far as Mike Channels, I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. He's got a will stamped as a memorabilia artifact. That's what he's got. Now, is that legal? I don't know. Did you see the one that Ben Gorecki submitted? Did anybody see that? I mean, it looks like a third grader tried to copy his parents' signature. You know, like when you get that note sent home from the teacher, Brian's been misbehaving in class, and they want your parents to sign it, but you're too freaked out and scared to give it to your parents, so you sign it yourself, thinking you know what you're doing, and you sign it in cursive, like your parents. You try to forge your parents' signature, basically, and it looks like a third grader tried to do it. But in your mind, you think it looks great. So you give it back to the teacher and you go, here, my parents signed it, and automatically the red flags go up. That's what this looks like, the will that Ben Gorecki and Matthew Roberts submitted as they claim Charles Manson's remains. If you look at that Charles Manson signature, I don't think you even have to be an expert to know that looks about as phony as the proverbial $3 bill. It looks like a third grader tried to forge Charles's third grade handwriting. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. They have turned this into a complete sideshow, a complete circus, all for the notoriety of just having their name out there. And it's disgusting. It's repulsive. And after this rant of mine right here, right now, I refuse to get into it anymore. I refuse to talk about it anymore. I'm not going to give them one more minute of publicity or mention. I just had to get my thoughts on the whole situation out there. That's really as far as I think about it. I'm not reading any more of these stories until it finally is decided. And my wish is that they both lose. I hope they both go down. And I hope Ben Gorecki goes to prison for forging a document and trying to pass that off, because that's where he belongs. It's an outrage what they've done. And karma will take care of that. And time will tell where this all ends up. Hopefully, I'll be long gone and away from it. But not tonight. No, we've got other things to do tonight. We've got a documentary that's airing, and we're going to talk about that with the director of that documentary, Buddy Day. Charles Manson, The Final Words. Coming up tonight, Buddy Day coming up next as we roll on the Tate LaBianca radio program. Back on a Sunday night, live on TLBradio.com.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait, hold on. I just got a text. Oh, there's another one. Wow. Busy me. So, anyway...
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. My friends keep commenting on my comment. Oh, there's another one. So many comments on my comment.
Oh, I can't wait to watch TV tonight. Playoffs!
Hey, guys, check out my new video game.
Pew, pew. Wait. Mom, what?
What? Hold
What'd you say?
Wait a second, what?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stunt, man. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Hello, and welcome to today's lottery drawing. Good luck. And here's today's winning numbers. First one up, it's not yours. Second one, not yours. And another number that's not yours. Okay, this is one number that's yours. It's a 5, but you don't get any money for that. And the final number is not yours.
Yep, so chances are you're not going to hit the lottery anytime soon. Don't get us wrong, the lottery can be fun every now and then. Just please don't rely on it for your future savings. How about this? Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte every day. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering in. Ride your bike instead of buying all that gas. These changes alone can save you thousands a year. Thousands. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feed that piggy bank. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
The Tate LaBianca radio program.
Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like Wolf's Kebab's referendum?
TLBradio.com.
And welcome back to the Tate LaBianca radio program on TLBradio.com. I'm Brian Davis. Thank you for joining us once again. Tonight is the premiere of the much-anticipated TLB documentary, Charles Manson, The Final Words. That airs tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Reels channel. And right now, I am pleased to welcome in the man that made it happen. He is the director of Charles Manson, The Final Words. Buddy Day joins us on TLBradio.com. Buddy, hello to you, and thank you, my friend, for coming on tonight on TLB Radio, especially on the night that this documentary will air nationwide. We very much appreciate this, my friend.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to do it. Good to talk to you again. I mean, you were a phenomenal resource in making the documentary and gave us a fantastic interview. I really hope you're cool with it. I really hope you like it.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity just to get this information out. You know, that's kind of what my goal this whole time of even trying to do this program and the research of these murders has been not so much to preach to the choir, so to speak, and talk to the people here in the TLB community. My goal was to always get this information out to the mainstream public that has never taken the time to question the official narrative, that has never taken the time to look at the police reports and see some of the discrepancies in this case. And you, Buddy Day, are the first one to come along, first filmmaker to come along and actually be interested in that alternative theory talk and everything, and I appreciate you for being open-minded and looking at that. So I'm excited. Everybody's excited. And again, this comes on 9 o'clock tonight Eastern Time on the Reels channel. And you know, buddy, I saw your segment with Megyn Kelly on Friday with yourself and Diane Lake. That went off pretty well, surprisingly, considering that the mainstream media, they're usually, you know, all about the official narrative in this thing.
Yeah, I've been really surprised how well our documentary's been received. Obviously, it has not been seen by the general public. It'll be seen by them in about half an hour or 45 minutes or something. But but we've had press screenings leading up to them. We've shown at a few film festivals. We've been very lucky to win the Atlanta Film Festival and the Red Rock Film Festival. But I've been so surprised how well the alternative theory that we presented has been received. I did an interview with Newsweek, and I was, like you said, I was on Megyn Kelly, and did a whole bunch of national press all last week, and really have not encountered anyone yet that really pushed back on the theory that we presented, and really everyone was very much open to the idea that there is an untold story out there. So it's been surprising, because I was expecting a lot more hesitancy in what we were putting forward. But like you said, there's so many discrepancies in the official narrative, and I think it's a case that's long overdue in terms of exploring what actually happened.
I so agree. Going back for a minute to the Megyn Kelly segment, I noticed Diane Lake's sitting there. Now, she's not in the documentary, right? She's not in this documentary.
She's not in this documentary. She was writing her book at the same time that we were filming. I did speak with her.
Well, that was my next question. Did you get to talk with her off camera a little bit then?
I did. Well, when we were making the documentary, I did speak with her very briefly. And at that time, I don't know that she'd even started writing her book, but she did not want to be associated at that time with what we were doing, which is fair. We spoke to a lot of people off the record who had firsthand accounts of what happened in the summer of '69, and just did not want to kind of participate in a larger documentary, which is fair. And so that was the first time I've ever met, in terms of Diane Lake, that was the first time I'd ever met her in person, was last Friday, I guess.
Sure. That's interesting. Did you have some pleasant exchanges then, I guess, despite the difference of opinion? Because she, as I understand with Megan's questioning, she still thinks it's the, race war, helter-skelter thing.
Yeah, I really didn't. I mean, I had a chance to meet her backstage and met her very briefly after the show, so I can't really speak to her personal opinions or anything like that. I did have a chance to read her book. I knew I was going to be on the show with her, so I went to the local bookstore here in Canada where I am and got her book and spent Thursday night reading it. And she definitely has a different opinion than I think I do on what happened in the summer of '69. But I mean, by her own admission, she was really not that she was very much involved in terms of being a witness of what was happening in the commune, but she was definitely on the fringes of anything to do with the murders that took place in the summer of '69. She's very much a victim of what happened, and not necessarily a follower. So her first-hand account of what happened in terms of the murders isn't necessarily that relevant, and she'd be the first person to tell you that. So I think a lot of her opinions of what happened are valid, but she definitely wasn't involved. So you have to take that for what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she didn't really know much about it. I think she had a conversation with Tex Watson up at Barker's there. Really, it was kind of like her real, Yeah, I think in her book she talks about, finding out about the murders, and it gives you some interesting context into the dynamics of the group. But I mean, she was. I remember speaking with Catherine Gillies and her kind of explaining the dynamics of the commune a bit, in terms of that there was kind of an older group of guys, which was kind of in like the Tex and Bobby and Susan Atkins and those kind of people, and then there's kind of the middle kind of aged kind of people, and then there was like a very younger group of girls that were kind of on the outskirts of in terms of kind of the interpersonal dynamics of the commune, and that would have been Cappy and Diane Lake and Sherry Cooper and those kind of people. Sure.
So I mean Diane Lake was 14 or 15 in the summer of '69, and Cappy was about that age too. So they were very much not involved in the interpersonal dynamics and the kind of real overreaching motives that led to the murder.
Talking with Buddy Day, director of Charles Manson. The Final Words, that airs tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Reels channel, following the program here. And, Buddy, there's been a lot of buzz about this movie. You've, as you mentioned, been out on that film festival circuit where it won a couple of awards out there in Atlanta, Salt Lake City. You've been on the mainstream media rounds. Tonight, you debut in front of a national audience on the Reels channel, 9 p.m. Talk about how you're feeling right now, 30 minutes out from your debut. I mean, the Reels, they reach like 60, 70 million people across the nation. Yeah. So you've got to be feeling pretty good right now, I assume?
Yeah, well, I'm just hoping a lot of people watch it. The New York Times and Washington Post listed it as something to watch tonight, so I hope people are paying attention, and I'm just excited. I mean, you know, I've had some people within kind of who are more kind of, you know, Manson experts watch it, like the people that contribute to Cielo Drive watched it and gave me some feedback, and I'm really excited for people to watch it and kind of really reignite the conversation. I think obviously the hook of the film is that, you know, I did spend a year speaking with Charles Manson from his cell in Corcoran, California, the year before he died. That's why we called it The Final Words. And I'm excited for people to watch it, to get that insight and that context. But after that, I'm really excited for people to kind of see the evidence that we found and see the questions we raised and really talk about, you know, whether the prosecution did put forth a sensational narrative to more easily convict Charles Manson, and whether or not it's ever right for people in authority to do the wrong thing for the right reason.
Very good, buddy. I agree with you 100%. That's my basis as well. So take us back to the beginning, if you would, because you're, as I said earlier, you're the first one I know of anyway to come out with this alternative theory documentary, so to speak, and focus on that. How did you start this project? Where did this all start for you?
Well, it started when we were filming a series called The Shocking Truth, and I'd met more than a few people who had actually spoken to Charles Manson in prison. That kind of put the seed of the idea in my head. And then on a whim, I just wrote him some letters, and then a couple months later, he called me for the first time, and then that's when me and my team really started to dig into the whole theory behind the murders and all this. And I mean, it was really cool. And you know, it was one thing we kind of pledged to do right from the beginning was there's a lot of people out there like yourself, like George Stimson, like Bobby Beausoleil, like Catherine Gillies, like all these people that we interviewed who have kind of been ignored more or less by the mainstream media when you watch these kind of broader documentaries that are put forth by kind of the bigger media conglomerates. And so we really wanted to kind of dig deep and talk to all the people who really were in the know to kind of really uncover what happened.
How much control did Reels have when they got the documentary from you? Did they edit it any more or any further, say, than you might have? Or is this going to be like the full...
No, they're involved the whole way along. So, no, nobody re-edits it after we deliver it.
Great.
They're kind of watching it the whole way along. I mean, Reels was a phenomenal partner. When we started the documentary, I was really transparent and saying, okay, I want to explore this alternative narrative, this alternative theory of the crimes that doesn't use the race war. And they were really open to that idea, and then we just kind of went for it. And they're really interested in making a high-quality documentary and making something that would resonate with people, and they were incredibly supportive the whole way along and really never pushed back in terms of thinking that it would be controversial or something like that. As long as we could kind of support what we were saying, they were really good about it. I mean, they definitely, you know, in conversations back and forth, challenged us on things, you know, to say, well, you know, if you're going to say this, how can you say that? You know, not in a negative way, but in a way that it would, you know, force us to be really good storytellers. But so they were really good the whole way along. And I've said this before, but I really don't think we could have made this type of documentary at a major media conglomerate, just because they, like you said many times, they're so the kind of official narrative just keeps getting retold and retold and retold, and they're so married to that. So it was a real blessing.
Sure. I'll tell you, buddy, you certainly had the right sources for this documentary. You've got firsthand feedback and interviews with these people that were, as I said, firsthand involved, directly involved, either in the family or the murders themselves, including Charles Manson, as you mentioned. Looks like you've got some people that will talk for the first time that I've heard anyway, such as Linda Kasabian's former attorney.
Yeah.
You've got
absolutely fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, finding Linda Kasabian's attorney was huge for us, and he was phenomenal and incredibly candid, as much as he can be legally.
Can I ask a question? I don't want to give a spoiler, but
go ahead.
Did he talk about the kite story?
Yeah, he absolutely did. Yeah,
Great.
and it's in the It's in the documentary.
I urge people to watch this tonight just for that story alone, the kite story. It will amaze you. I'm telling you, this is incredible information that you're going to hear tonight.
Yeah, I know this is something that's kind of been discussed online, and it's really not something that most people that are unfamiliar with the Manson case know about. But absolutely, the idea that kites were being passed in prison, and that had something to do with the trial, has kind of been a long-held rumor, and I've read about it on message boards and things like that, and heard about it from people, and he absolutely clarified what happened, and it was integral to the case, and it's a phenomenal moment.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Now, another person, the person I'm most interested in hearing from, I think, is Bobby Beausoleil, because I know he's done a few interviews through the years, but I don't think I've ever heard Bobby Beausoleil in any documentaries on this subject. How did it come to be that you were able to get Bobby Beausoleil involved in this?
Yeah, what Bobby has to say is amazing, and we were so fortunate that he participated in allowing us to interview him. I've probably spent over the last year hours and hours on the phone with Bobby, and I've still talked to him. I've still talked to him since we made the documentary, and at the beginning, we always knew. I mean, as we were researching, we always knew that Bobby's story was an integral piece to understanding what happened over the summer of 1969.
Sure.
So I was able to contact a reporter who had done a very, very long-form interview and asked that person if I could interview him so that we could kind of, at least on a second-hand way, get Bobby's account. And his answer surprised me. He said, when I did get to him after months of trying to find him and get him on the phone, we got him on the phone, and he said to me, look, I could never speak for Bobby. If you want to interview Bobby, if you want to talk to him, you're going to have to talk to him yourself. And I said, that would be great, but I don't know how to get a hold of Bobby. and he said, tell you what, send me an email. I will get it to him. And I did. And I think like the next day or the day after, it was very soon thereafter, Bobby called me for the first time.
Wow.
I said, Bobby, can I record you for this documentary? He said, absolutely not. But he said, I've heard, I don't even know how, but he had heard kind of what we were doing. We'd been working on the documentary about 6-7 months by that time, so I just started talking to him, and then after many phone calls and back and forth, and really trying to build trust with him and convince him of what we were doing, he changed his mind, and he said, okay, you can record me, and you can put my voice in the documentary, and I'll help you in terms of an interview, and then that was it. And then he was and I have to say he was incredibly candid with everything. And I remember an instance, very late in the process, we're near completion of the documentary, and something had come up where we were talking about how the murders are connected, and the things that were written on the walls in blood. And I had to call him and say, I need to talk to you about this. Did you write on the walls in blood? And what was your thinking? And kind of ask him questions like this. And he he was incredibly candid and honest, and it turned out really well.
Wow. Well, like I said, I think this is going to be one of the person I'm most interested in hearing from, because like I said, I've never heard him in the context of a documentary. So this is going to be something, really great to hear. Bobby Beausoleil in this documentary tonight, the Charles Manson, The Final Words. This is from a listener here, buddy, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
They asked me, will the Final Words be available online to buy, rent, or view? And this is a listener from Europe for the rest of the world.
From Europe. Yeah, it will be in some way, shape, or form. Right now it's premiering in the United States tonight.
Yes.
And then the global rollout is coming in the next couple of weeks. We're just solidifying the international distribution right now. We've had a lot of interest on some really exciting offers. So I can't exactly say how you'll be able to watch it overseas, but you will be able to watch it overseas very shortly.
Sounds great. I'm glad, and I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that as well. What talk about? What was was it easier to make this movie or easier to deal with the media tour afterwards that you had to go through, the promotional part of this thing?
Oh, the promotional tour was it was really fun. That was not a headache at all.
It didn't wear you out or anything. Yeah, it didn't wear you out.
No, I mean it was a bit of travel, but it was really cool. I was really just super excited about how much people how much it resonated with people. I mean, we were really hoping to get some national interest, but to be in Rolling Stone and Billboard magazine and Megyn Kelly and the New York Times, and I mean, it was incredible.
Well, and like you said, what I like about it is they treated you with at least respect.
Yeah. I mean, I think the alternative theory is a theory that's long overdue. I mean, I remember we were filming this, and someone said to us, I'm surprised no one's done this already, and and I was surprised as well that no one's really kind of explored this in a large scale documentary already. But so I think it is long overdue.
Do you think maybe you'll, a lot of times information continues to come out in these things, and researchers now are getting into this blogs and so forth. Do you think maybe there'll be any type of part 2 to this, or are you looking at this will be the masterpiece right here? Or have you even thought that far along, actually?
We haven't entirely thought that far along, but yeah, I have a lot more material. I mean, that was one of the hardest things about doing the film, was there's so much to talk about. And I've talked to you for hours about this case.
Right.
And you could talk for hours more about the case.
Yes.
And that was one thing that was really hard in making the film, is deciding, well, how much detail are we going to put in? And I mean, for example, I mean, we originally went into a lot more. When we did the first cut of the film, it was over 3 hours long or something like that.
Wow.
And we just realized, I mean, no one's going to sit and watch this for 3 hours. So we had to cut it back for a theatrical release, and then we had to cut it back a little more for a TV release. So you just have to really decide what story you're going to tell. At the end of the day, we really decided to focus on the overall motive for the murders. That was really our focus, was what did Charles Manson have to say in terms of what was the overall broad picture of what led to the murders, why they were carried out, and how did one murder lead to the other, and how did the prosecution put that, and then how does the alternative theory put that. It would have been great to go into the details and context of what actually happened on the night of August 8th, and August 9th and August 10th. But we just couldn't get into that level of detail. So as far as future projects, I mean, there's so much more to explore in terms of the case.
Great.
That I'd really like to get into. Absolutely.
Great. That'll be great. Talking with Buddy Day. He is the director of the movie Final Words, Charles Manson Final Words, I should say, and that will air again tonight in about 15 minutes from now on the Reels channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Another question real quick, Buddy, from our listener here in our TLB radio discussion room. They would like to know, now that you have put this out and you're finished with the movie, flat out, what does he believe the motive is? What do you think the motive is yourself, buddy? Do you have a personal belief now, or are you just still kind of up in the air?
Well, I think the way, I can't summarize it in a sentence, but I think the way that we present it in the documentary is pretty compelling. I will say in terms of how we present the alternative theory in the documentary, it's something that I don't think has been presented before. Elements of it have been presented before. The element of a copycat murder, the element of the Beach Boys song, the element of drug deals and things like that. All these things have been presented, have been parsed out before, but I think the way that we present it, and a lot of it has to do with Bobby's account and Manson's account and other people's. I think the way that we present it is pretty unique in terms of an overreaching narrative, and I think to answer the question is what do I think the reason is. I think it was a complicated series of events. I think it was a confluence of events centered around the commune that was living at Spawn Ranch at that time in '69, and I think it was like a domino effect, personally, of events. And you can't really point to one specific thing that caused the murders. You have to look at it in the overall context of the time and what was happening. And I'll put this back to you, Brian. One thing that's really interesting about the Manson family and the Manson family murders, or I should say the so-called Manson family, is that there's 35 people there living up at that ranch at one time, and they all have a different perspective, and I don't think any of them are wrong.
Interesting. I would agree. Buddy Day, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on again on the night that this thing airs. I appreciate you making time for us so much. And on a personal note, buddy, I just want to say thank you for finally coming along. Finally coming along and allowing me to help tell this story, this alternative theory, and get this information out to the mainstream. And I hope they take it, and I hope they take it upon themselves to look further into it. And I hope there's a million Google searches now on, TLB, alternative theories, and the rest of that. So, buddy, thank you. You've done an incredible job. Congratulations on such a great movie. And again, it's won awards at the film festivals. It airs tonight, 9 p.m., coming up in about 10 minutes here on the Reels channel. Buddy, thank you so much for taking time with us tonight, and all the best to you, my friend.
Yeah, you as well, anytime.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you down the road, my friend. And here we go. Reels coming up, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. You don't miss this one, folks. Don't miss this one. I'm Brian Davis. We'll be right back with more on the Tate LaBianca radio program, TLBradio.com.
We'll do it live. Okay. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
TLB Radio.
Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Well, I finally did it. I improved my credit score.
You're kidding, right?
No.
How are we supposed to be the bad boys of electro-synth pop if you're out there being responsible? The band is about to be discovered. This is our year.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while now.
You think anyone in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worried about their credit score?
I never really thought that.
Of course they weren't. Rock stars aren't supposed to think about that kind of stuff. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, write aggressively sensitive power ballads, start questionable fashion trends, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
All right, I thought maybe it was time to take control of my finances, you know? Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some goals.
A budget? Debt? Set some goals? Listen, I knew that we'd have our creative differences, but I was hoping they'd involve a little more scandal.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
TLB Radio.
The only thing you got me locked out from is my guitar. And whoever got my guitar, and whoever's taking my guitar, and whoever's keeping my guitar, I swear to God, there'll be nothing left over there.
Oh, that's the late Charles Manson talking about the guitar. One thing that guy would have fought for, I think we can agree, was that guitar. Yes. My thanks to Buddy Day, the director of Charles Manson. The final words, joining us here on TLB Radio. Thank you so much, Buddy. I look forward to this here in just a few minutes. Right now, we're going to go ahead and hit over to our This Day in TLB History as we wrap things up here tonight.
TLB Radio.
What we're going to do right here is go back. Way back.
This week in TLB History.
Well, this week was an interesting week in TLB history. Back in 1970, on December the 2nd, after the disappearance of attorney Ron Hughes, Judge Older told Leslie Van Houten that a co-counsel should be brought in to represent her during Hughes' absence. And on December 3rd, this very day, 1970, after consulting with Paul Fitzgerald, Judge Older appointed Maxwell Keith as the co-counsel for Leslie Van Houten. As you know, Leslie Van Houten would end up getting somewhat of a mistrial, a retrial, due to I guess she won an appeal due to the death of her attorney, Ronald Hughes. His body would show back up some time later. And then it would take another couple trials, I believe, before Leslie Van Houten herself would actually be convicted. I think they had to get the burglary charge on that, too. Didn't Steve Kay say that? I believe, anyway. So that's what went down this day, 1970, December 3rd, December 2nd, the weekend, during the trial of the Tate LaBianca murders. That's going to wrap things up for this week, our first week back on the official Tate LaBianca radio program. Our schedule now for the remaining weeks, Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here, as we continue the final ride of pursuing the interest, the oddities, and the truth of the Tate LaBianca murders. January 7th, our final program of TLB Radio. Until then, we'll still be talking TLB. I'm Brian Davis. Thank you so much. Don't forget the Reels channel, 9 p.m. Just a matter of minutes. It is Charles Manson, the final words. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk to you next Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The Tate LaBianca radio program on TLBradio.com. Let's go to this first question here. We've got actually about 5 people asking this one question, Mr. K. They are dying to know from the Elisa Statman book, the recent Elisa Statman book, Restless Souls. Supposedly this took place in July of 1978, and it says here from the book, he turned, sure that he'd find prying eyes upon him. Even so, Krenwinkel startled him. Stay the blank away from me, she snarled through the chain-link fence. And you replied, or Kay replied, and miss all the fun? That was quite a performance in there, Pat, just like old times. She replied back, "You're the same as Bugliosi looking to make a buck off this case." Well, guess what, Mr. DA? I don't have to take your blank anymore. And then you replied back, supposedly, "That's where you're wrong, Pat. I'm going to be here to make sure the only way you leave this dump is in a pine box." And she laughed. Mr. K, did that conversation ever take place with Pat Krenwinkel?
Never took place. That's just made up out of whole cloth. The only thing that Krenwinkel said to me, and it was out in the hall while the members of they called it the Community Release Board at the time, were deliberating whether to grant or deny her parole. She said to me, "What the F are you doing here?" And that's all she said, and I didn't even reply to her. And you know, she had guards around her and everything. So, but that's, you know, to be truthful with you, Pat Krenwinkel and I have never had a conversation, even in the trial. Now, Leslie Van Houten and I have had many conversations.
Did you kill Shay?
Hell no.
Did you cut Hinman's ear off?
Hell yes.
And let me see, what else could we pile on? Is there any more shit we could pile on to the top of the outcome of this case? Is it possible?
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
TLB Radio.com